Ibrahim,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, if a new levy is being introduced, there should be some proper timelines for implementation, especially a levy such as this. I mean, there are players or regulators in this industry that would need to, like Elvis says, recalibrate, reconfigure, and all that. It's as though that has not happened yet.
Yeah.
However, if you look at the figures that have been thrown out there, how important is it that we're giving a timeline for implementation? If this is to address costs of purchasing fuel for power generation, cost of settling energy sector debts, should we have a timeline for implementation, or should it be a perpetual levy?
Well, let me unpack what you just said.
Very well.
Should it be a perpetual levy? The answer is no. That's firstly, and let me address that. Why do I say no? Government or leadership really, Nana Tufo, needs to understand the dynamics of managing an economy. Well, if you go to the old playbook of I'm having a shortfall, so let me tax you to solve that shortfall, it's cause 90. It doesn't achieve anything. Why do I say so? Because what will happen is that you will increase inflation, and then inflation itself will become a big, how do you call it, anchor or chain and ball on the economy. So it cannot work well, because we know how what inflation does. It reduces productivity. When prices go up, people buy less. If people buy less, manufacturers then produce less. If they produce less, they lay off more people, so unemployment spikes, food prices spike, and all the, it's like a domino effect.
Right.
So there shouldn't be a perpetual levy. You need to understand, and this is my message to the NDC, you need to understand the workings of an economy, and seek to see how you can provide or create activities that will generate revenue that you can then legitimately tax. But let me go back to what I wanted to say initially, Nana Tufo.
Sure.
Here, there's legacy debts and what have you. The question any layman would ask you in Ghana, now who calls them? How did we get here?
Yeah.
Sure, before ESLA, the Energy Sector Levy Act. Introduced when? December 2015. Who introduced it?
John Mahama.
John Mahama. He introduced this levy in order to cure shortfalls within the oil sector. Because sometimes the market price is X, but the pump price is Y. And government has to pay, what do you call it? The fuel contractors and banks to cover the shortfall. So then they introduced this ESLA, Energy Sector Levy Act, in December 2015. So we started collecting it from 2016. Now, look at how we got there. You signed, by you, I'm talking John Dramani Mahama, the president, then and now and then. 43 IPPs, that's independent power producers, on a take or pay. Because they had mismanaged the sector so long. We had 5 years of Dumso, and there was like, we need people to come and produce electricity, create, add to the energy mix. So Charlie, it doesn't matter. Let's sign them. 43 contracts. On the case of take or pay. Charlie, just build it. I may not use it, but I will pay you for it. It's like this tea that I've got here. Whether I drink it or not, I'm going to pay for it. And you're not actually, how can I call it, building a clear plan of action to solve the energy crisis. Now, what is the cost of that take and pay? It started with 300, and I want Ghanaians to listen to me very well, $320 million of money that we pay to these producers
for power not used.
For power not used. We are just giving it away. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Nana? You're picking up what I'm putting down. Good. Then it went up to $500 million.
From 320.
Yes. Up to 600 million. Who calls them? John Dramani Mahama. Their merry deal. I'm citing that one there. Yes, I know NDC, MPP want to renegotiate it. We'll leave that for another discussion. $510 million. Every expert said that was twice the amount. Twice the amount. So why am I mentioning corruption day inside? The Sankofa ENI deal was one of the largest gas deals, the most expensive ones John Dramani Mahama signed. So while we are talking, and I like how Elvis has mentioned, these are the reasons why we got here, or this levy won't work. Beyond that, who caused them? And these are the critical questions we have to ask before we get to the solutions. Because you created this legacy for us. I'm talking John Dramani Mahama. You couldn't solve the doomsaw, and then you were in a panicky situation, quickly got people to produce on a take or pay basis. And we are paying for it up until now.
Brought the ESLA, and then Akufo-Addo collateralized it.
Yes, you collateralize it so that the revenues collected could be used to then secure loans. Because you know that over the period you're collecting money. So that's your collateral. I know that in 3 years I'm going to collect X amount. So we were then borrowing money against that collateral. Again, thinking outside of the box.
And when we borrowed the money, for what purpose? What was that money borrowed used for? Well, because if the ESLA was set up for a specific function, and we decide to collateralize the ESLA, it should be, the loans contracted should be relative to the original purpose. You're
100% right. Because what were the reasons? The idea is to make sure that you can then cure the legacy debt, okay, add to the infrastructure as well. So because when you can make sure that energy-wise, infrastructure-wise is properly secured in terms of investment, then you don't have the panicky situation that we had during the Dramani Mahama years. That's why you had an addition to our energy mix in terms of solar, in terms of thermal. So those monies were used to actually add value to our power generation and the energy mix as a whole. So while you're collecting, you're not just collecting money to pay for it. It's like you borrow money from a bank. You use that bank to do what? To build business, your business. You're still paying the loan, but that business will yield revenue that in time, if properly used, will then it will blossom so that now beyond paying the debt, you're also adding revenue. Are you following me?
Yeah, but was the ESLA used for projects that will generate revenue?
That I can't
used for consumption projects.
That primarily, as I understand it, it was used to defray costs. But you know that the costs continue to spiral.
They'll pile up.
And why did it spiral? It spiraled up because, again, exchange rate mechanisms. Every 2 weeks, you have the bi-weekly meeting. I'm talking the IPPs, the banks, fuel suppliers, together with government and OMCs, all marketing companies, and then, of course, you have the BDCs. The bulk. They all meet every 2 weeks and agree upon the price that they should negotiate upon. Am I right? For the following 2 weeks. Now, exchange rate mechanisms is a major factor in that. And we saw how, under the MPP, admittedly, the exchange rate went from around 5 or so, all the way to 16 and nearly 17 to a point. Now, John Jinapa, Honorable Minister for Energy. I wanted to latch on to something Elvis said about the consultation, that had they done consultation, they would have the same problems as e-levy, per Elvis's submission. Go to Daily Graphic online. I'm giving the source. Honorable John Jinapa, said that they had consulted widely. That's what he said. In terms of this one levy. Now, then you have the coalition of all marketing companies? Mr. Opong said there was no consultation. They received a document on the 5th of June, a holiday, saying that by Sunday, which is yesterday, there needs to be this increase. Where is the consultation? So John Jinapa, Honorable, needs to come again. Because, as Elvis rightly said, there's no consultation. They didn't consult anybody. And the key stakeholder said, you didn't even talk to us. And when you talked to us, you sent us a letter on Eid al-Adha, a holiday. And I think there were some talks yesterday. Now they've extended it to June the 16th. Am I right? In order to do that. But it all comes down to why has the government mismanaged, tricked, lied to the Ghanaian public? And for those who want to do politics with this, you are at liberty to do it. When the MPP does something that is wrong, I will say it. And likewise, if you are an NDC supporter, beyond that, you are Ghanaian. Do not keep quiet. And so my party is in power. And because at the end of the month, when you don't have either power, because we're not solving the doomsday issue, or your salary or your income, your revenue is down, that kind of blind loyalty will not do you any good. And the same goes with the MPP as well. Are you following me? We need to be critical of government and not somehow fall into the trap that it's my party in power or it's or the other parties in opposition, or you get me?
Yeah.
So that you somehow we polish the talk. That's how
Yeah.
As Ghanaians, we need to somehow disabuse our minds and say, look, this is wrong. We can win the election on so many points, and you can lose the election on so many points. But when it's the national interest, where you and I are concerned, put your party aside and tackle the issue. If it's to the credit of the government, give it. The exchange rate is now worked in Ghana's favor. Am I right? Who's in charge now? NDC. So let's give him that credit.
Right.
Let's give him that credit. Likewise, what's going to happen now with this one city levy? Already there's a strike coming tomorrow. I know we'll discuss it in a minute.
Yeah.
Secondly, regardless of what GPRTU does, those who transport the cocoyam, the plantain, the tomatoes from the hinterlands, from the farm to the markets, they don't belong to GPRTU. Once they know that prices have gone up, they will increase their prices.
True.
And this fallacy that Honorable Atoforsen is saying that what has happened is this increase will not be reflected at the pump. It's now in the region of 12 cities 99 from 14.99 in January to now 12 cities 12.50 thereabouts. He's saying that this increase won't be reflected. You won't see it. I beg to differ. How much is Kenke today, even with the city appreciation? It's still 4 cities, 5 cities. I'm talking Teshin Lejokuku, where I'm from.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to Osu, and I want people to call in. Because if I say in some parts of Accra, it's 7 cities, you say, Ibrahim Omale, you're lying.
Yeah. Oh, in Dansuman, I have a Kenke joint 7. There's 7 cities Kenke. It's between 5 and 7.
Midasi, Mindabushi. Do you understand me? How do we get here? Because in December 2024, and Kenke is one of the barometers we use to know whether you are going or coming. Economically.
Yeah, true.
Are you following me?
Right.
So this is what needs to be cured. I'm hoping you can give me maybe 1 more minute, I beg you, on this topic.
Briefly, yeah.
Government, I'm talking to NDC specifically.
Yeah.
Reimagine how you lead. Forgive me if I'm shouting. It's a passionate issue.
Right.
Right now, you know, I always try to add value to a conversation. We have a problem. So I don't want to say, John Mahama, you've messed up, you've goofed. You're back to the old playbook, tax and spend and then put us more into doomsday. I don't want to go to that tangent. I want to give something. How can they solve this $5.7 billion? Am I right? Cities. Shortfall.
Yeah.
Good.
That's what this levy is expected to generate.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they need over one.
They need over,
About.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a shortfall of about 4.3
So,
billion.
so how can you think critically? I want to send John Mahama an idea.
Right.
You can take it or leave it. We have right now, within the system, 5 million electricity meters operating. 5 million.
5 million.
5 million. Google it and see. It's 4.9 million. Okay? Of which around 4,020,000 are operational. Where did I get the figure from? ECG.
Right.
Because they charge and say, okay, this meter's paid.
Yeah.
4 million.
Yeah.
That means we have, let's say, 4 million households. Am I right? Presently, 4 million households. Presently in Ghana, 47.7% of households are rented.
Okay.
Rented. Okay? That's, so you have around 2 million households renting. But I want to get back to the solution I'm giving to John Dramani Mahama. You have 4 million meters, which then alludes to Activo by ECG.
Yeah.
That means people are spending.
Exactly.
That means people are living there.
Yeah.
Good. 4 million. Now, 4 million means property rates. Am I right?
Yeah.
Property rates. Let me explain to you what I'm saying. Honorable Mordecai, former MCE at Lejokuku, in 2024, Mordecai Kwashi. In 2024, he sent out bills worth 43 million cedis for property rate to collect. He only received 2 million.
Right.
Out of the 43 that he billed, only 2 million were paid. And that is replicated across Ghana. Unless you go to Klote, where they've actually increased revenue by 1,025%, they collected 12 million cedis just this quarter because they do a digital payment plan. But I want to be short on my suggestion to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President. You have 4 narrative. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? 4 million meters in the system. That means 4 million properties. Property rates are never collected properly.
Right.
It's just that we talk and we don't act. 4 million on average. It's around 900 cities per year. Per year. And I say on average because companies don't pay 900 cities property tax. They pay in the millions or the thousands.
Yeah.
But I'm just giving you a figure.
Yeah. So you think property tax is the way to go?
So you do, as one example, 4 million times 900. Okay? Now, what you do, okay? You want to do that for me? 4 million times 900?
Real quick, we can
9
do
fours are 36. So you're looking at what?
Yeah.
Yeah? You do what I'm doing. 9 times 4 is 36. Anyway. So 900 times 4 million. What figure you get?
Somewhere around 3.6 billion.
3.6 billion. What were we having? 5 billion.
5.7.
Good. 3.6. Am I right?
Yeah.
And how do you do it? You know the property rate, add it to my electricity bill. When we pay the light bill, you know the street lights.
Yeah.
Do they come and say light bill? They just add it to your bill.
Yeah.
It's captured.
Yeah.
Am I right?
So we should add on to that.
You add it.
But then again, that will be another increase, right?
It's not
already
an increase.
The tariffs have been
already you have to pay it.
7.
I'm coming, Nana, to 4. We have to pay property tax. It's just that we fail to collect it. It's not an increase.
Yeah.
It's making sure you can actually capture it. Don't we pay roadworthy?
Yeah.
So if DVLA do not capture it, is it an increase? I have to pay. But DVLA have made sure that there's deterrence. The police are on the road, they see your car without the sticker, they stop you, and you make sure you pay. So they're not 3.6 billion.
Yeah.
And you add it. Now, what happens when I get my bill? When I pay my prepaid, you don't take the 900 at one go. Every month, take maybe 20 Ghana. In addition to my bill is 100 cedis.
Yeah.
But 20 cedis of my bill will go to property rate. I've paid 80 of my bill, and so on. So over the year, you won't even feel it. Do you feel it when they say you're paying the street light?
No.
As far as you're concerned, it's part of your...
It's embedded in there.
It's embedded.
Yeah.
So you embed it and you take it few, small. That's the idea. John Dramani Mahama, Your Excellency. 3.6 billion Ghana cedis is there for you. Likewise, my last point.
I need to hear from Elvis on solutions.
I beg you.
Yeah.
I beg you. I beg 45 seconds.
Yeah.
You can time me. The other one is tax, rental tax.
Yeah.
When you rent your property, now I mentioned to you earlier, 2.7 million households are rented. Ask Honorable Ato Forson how much rent, tax does he get from landlords? I doubt if he gets 10 cedis a year. I'm being facetious. How can you cure that? You do a policy that when you are renting or you are leasing your property, the payment has to be done through a government portal. You are my landlord.
Right.
I don't have to pay you tax. You register with the Ministry of Finance that you have property you're leasing. They will give you a Momo number directed to you. I will then pay my rent to that Momo number. I don't pay you directly. I will pay you, and government will capture the contract. Nana Tufo has leased 1-bedroom apartment to Ibrahim Adjei. Because by law, you have to. If
And the landlord, that's what takes his money from government?
No. Government will give you apply for a permit to rent your property.
Yeah.
Government will give you that permit. Linked to that permit is a Momo number.
Right.
Separate to your number, so there's no confusion.
Right.
Okay? So now I'm leasing your property. I owe you 1,000 cedis for this month's rent.
Yeah.
I pay into that Momo account. Okay? Government will see that transaction and remove the 15%. Do you get me?
I get you.
Are you following me?
It will be passed on, right?
Rent, by law, you have to pay tax on your rent. You're a landlord. You can't just get your rent free. Because government is paying for the roads and the lighting and the police and the water, everything that government does for the property that you are leasing. You have to contribute.
So we're still talking tax. No one is looking at addressing the inefficiencies.
No, I'm coming. You see, when you do this,
has collection losses.
Sure. Which is why I'm removing the middleman. Because right now, when you do this task force, you know, within your constituency, they get in the truck, Ford truck, they go around with the bill, Charlie, this is your property rate, pay the money. What happens? They goes in their pockets. So I'm just giving some ideas beyond the criticism that I'm giving to government, and it's necessary we critique. I'm also giving ideas, whereby if you do those 2.27 million people, okay, And again, let's say the average tax, average rent in a year, for argument's sake,
Right.
argument's sake, is 2,000 Ghana. A year old. Okay? Then you take your 15% from that. It's over 7 billion. More than. The one I calculated, around 12 billion Ghana. Just that portion. 12 billion plus the 3 billion we just calculated. That's 15 billion cedis. John Dramani Mahama, it's free advice. Don't say I'm MPP.
Thank you.
I'm Ghanaian. So I'm just
Right.
giving some ideas, and I'm sure there are others who have better ideas than me.
Right.
But within this space, you can create the necessary capture of revenue
Very well.
that can defray, and then you don't put the burden on we,
Very
the
well. Very
Ghanaians,
well.
at the pump.
Very well, Ibrahim. Thank you so much.